Good morning, guys. Happy Monday. I hope everyone is doing well. It's the 28th of July, and this is your daily market outlook for today. As always, before we get straight into the charts, I just want to let you guys know that the content on this channel is for educational and informational purposes only. I am not a financial advisor, and nothing shared in these videos should be considered financial, investment, or trading advice. Trading and investing always involves risk, and you should always conduct your own research before making any financial decisions. And also understand that any past performance discussed does not guarantee future results. You are responsible for your own financial decisions. So, that being said, welcome back to the YouTube. Glad to be back on here with you guys as well. Hopefully you should be able to see my screen now. Yeah, if you can. Amazing. Welcome back. As I just said, obviously had 2 weeks off due to holidays, which has been nice. But we are back now with the daily market outlooks for you guys to, plug into. So as always, let's see what's going on with the news. So going into this week, we pretty much have nothing red or orange for the news today. So, don't have to look out for the dollar or anything like that. And then going into the rest of the week, obviously we do have quite a hefty week of news. So you got to be aware of that going into the trading day. But as of today, nothing much until tomorrow, which will be US dollar news at 4 p.m. my time. So with that being said, let's go straight into the charts and see where we're currently at. And if we look, let me just quickly go to the higher time frame. I just want to go to the monthly for 1 second. And just look at where we're at. We're obviously still bullish in regards to the whole overall, market structure. But if you guys can see, we have this part here where we've been consolidating, and then we broke below these lows as we speak. Potentially, could we see the market come into this lower area from an overall perspective on the higher time frames? And if you look from the weekly, let me just go to this, you can see that these black lines are referring to the imbalances which the weekly like to fill in. So as you can see, once we broke, this come back, filled in this imbalance here, and this happens over and over. It broke, comes back, imbalance, broke, comes back, imbalance filled in, and it happens over and over and over again. If we look at the current market conditions as we speak from the weekly here, obviously extremely consolidated, but we are bearish within that. Within this obviously range. You can see that last week we kind of like come back up, tapped into this demand level here, and then obviously volume is now telling me that we could potentially see the upside. But of course, we just got to play what we see in the lower time frames as well. But if you look at this, we broke above. This has failed to go and create a new lower low. It's tapped into this imbalance here. Let's see obviously how we can react from the rest. Going into the daily. In fact, I'm going to mark that out. Going into the daily time frame. Okay, in fact, it's a mess. Going into the daily time frame, you'll be able to see that obviously the market, if we look from the naked eye, we have this daily lower high and this daily lower low. Markets come up into the deeper part of this area. And then obviously we've had some movement away. You'll be able to see that we didn't quite tap into this 4-hour supply that I'd liked, but we have been moving away from the deeper range of this area. So looking at where we're currently at, we have broken that low. So, but it's going to be interesting to see if we get either to this move, in the lower time frames to go and break that down. Because obviously we're in this daily range. We also have this where it's created a higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. And then we had this lower low, which broke this low here. So again, that's one scenario that could happen. Or if you look from this part here, well, we've got this daily demand that we have not mitigated and this imbalance which we're currently moving away from. So it's going to be interesting. Obviously, we've got to follow the lower time frames and see what's what. But if you look at this on the 4-hour, you should be able to see, pardon me, you should be able to see the market obviously going from them uptrends, pretty clear, and then straight into them downtrends, lower low, sorry, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, and then we pull back up now with this bullishness, and we're in this 4-hour and 1-hour supply area. So what I'd be waiting for personally is if it was to carry on downwards, I would want to see this low broke here. So I'd need to see obviously something like this, and then we can obviously look to sell that downwards. That's one scenario. But of course, if you go off where we're currently at, you can see that this is bullish as we speak. So if we look at the 1-hour, for instance, it's not quite broke above that. But if it was, in fact, the 2-hour might look a little bit better. If it was to carry on bullish, then I'd expect us to fill in this imbalance here. And carry on from here. And we've done the same pretty much from this level here. So yeah, if he was to carry on bullish and we don't break this low, which I just talked about, I just expect us to carry on bullish from there. So interesting to see what happens. Are we going to break or are we going to carry on from this area? And then that leads me on to Euro USD. I'm going to clean up my charts, to be fair, guys. It's an absolute mess, which I'm aware of. But as you guys can see, extremely bullish. We've had extremely bullishness inside of these markets. We're still in this daily range from this daily lower high, higher low to this daily higher high. We're pretty much tapped into this imbalance here, which is, obviously at the low, and that's where we got this movement from. As you guys should be able to see this daily imbalance there. And now obviously we've had this bullishness. So daily we're still in that range, expecting it to be bullish. If we look at the 4-hour, what can we see? Well, on the 4, you can clearly see that obviously we was creating them uptrends, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, create higher low, higher high, and now we're just consolidating. This area here hasn't broke this low, but we have tapped in to this 4-hour and 1-hour demand area. So if you look from that perspective, you'd like to see, we had this bullishness. Are we pulling back to see something to go and carry this on upwards? That would be my first thought, because we are bullish. So if I was to go to the 1-hour, can I see anything that appeals to me down here? I can't personally. I can't see anything that appeals to me down here. Obviously, that's where it could be a fib retracement. It could be something like that, which, appeals to you guys around a 786, 886 area to see a lower time frame reaction and then potentially look for that. That is one scenario, or obviously what we can see here is we have this 1-hour supply, which we've reacted from as well. So yeah, obviously, could we get the bullishness from here? And then we're going to have to see how we react from these areas, meaning these 2 candles, this area consolidation, to obviously see if we get this reaction to carry on downwards. So again, open, it's quite open, meaning obviously we are, seeing both scenarios, which, I guess can be a good thing. So I'll have to wait and see, but you can also see this area on EU has consolidated, trapped between us going, open, going down. So again, we just got to be patient with that. But yeah, that is something I'll wait for. If we do obviously break below this low, that would give us more of an understanding that we, can look for. By the way, we can look for a pullback to carry this downwards. So that's that. Going into GBP USD, if we look at the daily, you can see the daily is obviously, we reacted out this weekly imbalance, which is this line. We come in, tapped in, start to move away. And we're currently just in, let me just zoom into this area. We're currently in, you can't really see, but this 4-hour demand area here. Now, one thing I want you guys to really knuckle down on is this is bullish, and then we've obviously had this mass amount of movement last week. But if you look at the daily, from the naked eye, you can see the reason we're bearish is because we're filling this imbalance and reacted from this level of supply on the daily here. Let me just quickly show you guys this. There we go. We reacted from this level of daily supply here. So that's why we're getting this movement down. So that is something I'm just going to keep in mind. So yeah, as of right now, obviously this is extremely bearish. If you look higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, and then we just melted away. Yes, we're reacting at this demand. So what I'd be waiting for is if I was to go bullish on this, I'd need to see this level of area broke. So I need to see, of course, something as similar as up, pull back, and then we obviously look to buy up and fill in the rest of these imbalances here. So that's something that obviously you guys can keep an eye on. Sell scenarios, I've not got nothing for myself in and around these areas, to be fair. Obviously, if I cut the time frame in half, 1 hour maybe. Let's see. Yeah, nothing really stands out to me as of yet. So let's see. AUD, USD, pretty simple. Obviously, it's been very bullish on AUD, USD. Daily, you can see that we've got this daily higher low and this daily higher high. So naturally, once we create a new higher high, we expect a pullback and then to go and create a new higher high again. So that's what could potentially be happening with AU. On a daily time frame, we've got this imbalance here. And that probably matches up with the 50%. Yep, around the 50%. So what we usually like to see is the market pull back on a daily to a minimum of the 50%, and then we get that movement away. So 4 hour, what's it telling us? Let's get rid of this now. 4 hour is telling us that my next demand area would be, let's make this. My next demand area would be this demand area now. Now, as you guys can probably already notice, what am I doing? We have pretty much reacted from this level of supply here. This is a 4 hour supply, come back, and then we moved away. So we've got an hour and a half on this candle. It looks like it's going to potentially finish that. And if that's the case, I'd want to see a pullback into this 4 hour supply candle here. And then obviously see if we can get the movement away from here like we want to into this demand area here. So that's what I'll be looking for if we can continue to have this candle finish the way it is. So yeah, let's keep an eye out on that for AUD USD. Nothing more to be said about that just as right now. And I'm guessing, yeah, we're in pretty much the same scenario for NZ USD. We're reacting from this 4 hour supply area. We took out these highs, filled in the imbalance that we left, and now we're getting that bearishness away. First thing I can see is same scenario, we've reacted out of this candle here. That's my 4 hour supply candle. And now we are currently breaking this. Again, an hour and a half. Can we finish below this low? If so, I would like to see the market come back into this level of 4 hour supply and do what we just mentioned, which would be, pullback. Can we see reaction from here to carry this downwards? Then we can make a decision from somewhere like this and go, okay, is it going to slow down here? Is it, looking like we should look for buyers here, or are we just going to obviously melt right through? So that is what we can keep an eye on with NZUSD. Pretty simple for AU and NU. Currently, as of right now, that is very bearish. Currently, as of right now, we can obviously say that they are looking a lot better than but then these at the moment, confirmation wise. So let's see what's happening. Going into USD CAD, if we look at the higher time frame, it has been extremely consolidated. If you look from the naked eye, you can see that we've just been bouncing in between this zone. So, as of right now, the only thing I can notice is we have this demand area here from this leg, and then obviously that's where that tapped into and got this movement away. We failed to break this high. but we did leave this imbalance and this level of demand, which is where the market's now come back into, and now we're getting that bullishness away. So that's the first thought that I have, is more to the bullish side for USD CAD. If you look, took out all these lows, filled in the rest of this imbalance, tapped into this daily, this 4-hour demand candle, and then obviously just shut up from there. So looking as of right now, all I can see is the market's pretty much filled in this imbalance here. And that's why we're getting that bullishness. What I'll be waiting for personally is, can we break above this high here? And obviously, if that is the case, that would be amazing, because then we can look and get confirmation that the market could, carry on upwards from here. So that's what we're looking for, if we can get that confirmation. And if we do get that confirmation, it would be me looking for around this area of 4-hour demand for us to carry on upwards. So let's keep an eye out on that for USD CAD. USD CHF. Let's just quickly go to the daily. You can see obviously very bearish, but if you look at the, let's just zoom in. If you look at where we're at currently, you can see that we reacted from this this little track candle here, filled in this imbalance, and that's why we've had this bearishness away. Nothing really is clear as I would like. We still have some imbalance up here, which could potentially see the market come up into. If we look at it from a 4-hour, if you look at it from a 4-hour, you can see that the market was creating, higher high, higher low, higher high, and we have been bullish. Then we've had this movement down. Now we had this movement down, and there's no real demand area for me to look for bulls. And if you look at the supply zone, this was my next supply zone, with this imbalance to be filled with this institutional candle. And that's where we're currently at right now. We tapped in, moved away, and now we're back into this area. So, what I'll be looking for is a lower time frame reaction. As of right now, we are extremely bullish on the dollar, extremely bullish on USD CAD. So of course that's why we're getting that bullishness in with USD CHF. The one thing that I can see is we do have this unmitigated area here, which is where we tapped into, which is a 1-hour demand. We created all these lows, left some imbalance below. That could be the catapult. Again, what I'll be waiting for is just extra confirmation. Like if we can, for instance, get a candle closure above this, then yes, I would potentially be looking to long this for myself. Get a pullback and try and long this area out. And we obviously do have quite a lot of like trend line liquidity here, which you can see. So let's just see and wait to see what happens in regards to that. But yeah, I think obviously pretty clear-ish to understand for a Monday morning. We're waiting to see what the markets are doing, and then obviously we can capitalize on any moves that we basically believe will come into fruition. So that is it for the daily market outlook as of today. I appreciate every single person for being patient. I've had so many messages, about these market outlooks coming back. And yeah, obviously I went on holiday, and then my missus took the laptop back to the UK whilst I come back to Spain, so I could not, basically turn up for you guys on here and deliver the calls. So I do apologize about that, but we are back now. And yeah, man, I appreciate every single one of you. Have an amazing rest of your Monday, and we will catch up tomorrow. Take care.